Okay, welcome to the Elokus channel. This is class number 27 in the discourse Oita Erka Salma, second discourse of the great book Bishash Ekdimu 5672. And today we make the grand siyum. We're concluding the second discourse, 27 classes, but we got it done. Baruch Hashem. With God's help, we'll get it done. We'll finish the last piece over here in the second discourse, and if you finish the second, we can finish the third, and we can do the fourth. There's 144 discourses altogether, but Be'ezras Hashem, we don't have to finish over here. The journey itself is we would like to complete it, but the journey itself is the experience. It's our road trip. The trip itself is the fun, and in our case, is the experience, the incredible what we're just immersing our heads in this concept. A half an hour a day is already unbelievable. So yesterday we learned how, just like Atzilus has a mamutza, Atzilus is a mamutza. It's a mediator, and a mediator has from the two sides what it mediates. So in the worlds, there is something called a mamutza. So too, in the Torah is also considered a mediator between God and the worlds. Through the Torah, God creates and sustains the worlds. Listen to class 26 for the explanation on this. So now we conclude. And we learned actually the first two lines already in this last paragraph, but let's go back. And this is the meaning of the verse. He goes back to the verse that he opened up with. Oita Erka Salma, that Hashem, it says, God wraps himself in light, kasalma, like a garment. And then it says, Noite Shamayim, that Hashem spreads out the heaven, kayariya, like a curtain. He spreads the heaven like a curtain. So, or like a sheet. So the question he asked at the beginning of the discourse, what's the connection between the two parts of the verse? That Hashem wraps himself in light like a garment, and that he spreads the heavens like a kayariya, like a curtain. What does the spreading of the heaven have to do that God wraps himself in light? So we're going to see now how that works. These are, these are the two levels. Oyer, the light, is referring to the higher part of the Torah. So in general, these two elements, Oyer and Salma, are both referring to the Torah. But in the Torah itself, since the Torah mediates between Hashem and the world, so it has properties of the world, and that's the side of the Torah facing the world, in which the Torah seems to be very limited. And then there is the limitless element of the Torah, which is related to the esoteric element of the Torah, and that he's referring to, right? And that's the higher side of the Torah. These two parts of the Torah are called light and garment. Garment is a concealer, which is a concealer blocking the infinite, and therefore, how does it block the infinite? By manifesting or expressing itself with finite and in a limited manner. And that's the external part of the Torah. That's why when you learn only the external part of the Torah, not always do you sense the divine of it, to the point that the sages speak about the possibility where a person is in love with the Torah, studies Torah, and is engaged with it all the time, but they forget that the giver of the Torah, they forget that the Torah is divine. They take the Torah as some kind of as similar to any of the other sciences and disciplines and the like. So that's because, when you only study the exoteric element of the Torah, the law part of the Torah, you're engaging the Torah where the Torah is a instruction for life, but it's about our life. It's about the world. So it's concealing God. That's called kasalma. That's the garment. And then there is the higher inner soul of Torah, the light of Torah, the subject matters that we are studying over here, where the subject is the divine. Over here, we can't forget even 1 second that we're talking about God. And here's where we sense the infinity of it. Now, since the Torah is a mediator, it can't just speak the language of the divine, because it needs to mediate and communicate to the world. So it has to speak the language of the world. So therefore, the garment of the Torah is just as important as the light of the Torah. They go hand in hand. The Torah needs a soul and a body. That's the light and the garment. Shem Beis Madregas, these are the two levels. Oiru Pchenes HaPnimius. The light is the internal element. Pchenes Oirein Seif Shebetorah, the infinite light that's in the Torah of a Salma, and the garment Uchitzanias HaTorah is the external part of the Torah. Shu Pchenes Lavush, which is the garment Hamayla Mesa Or that hides the light, and the purpose of the hiding of the light is Shayuchlu Eilamais Lekabel, that the worlds should be able to tolerate and receive. If God was to give the Torah purely in the abstract light element, it would overwhelm the worlds. And then you're wondering, so hold it, why is it that today's days we are able to study the light of the Torah like we're doing over here? And why aren't we passing out from these revelations? Why aren't we overwhelmed by this incredible light? And that is because we've already studied the Torah. We've already ingested godliness for thousands of years in the learning the exoteric element of the Torah. It conditioned us already to be able to start peeking into and seeing the light. The main light of the Torah is going to be revealed in Mashiach's time. That's when Hashem will come out of his garments. He's going to remove the garment. He will be seen without his garment, which means the Torah itself will shed the garment. Doesn't mean that we won't have any more the Torah law, but the main preoccupation of Torah study in the time of Mashiach is going to be purely in the esoteric elements, the godly elements of the Torah. Then we're going to be ready to receive it because we've absorbed the nutrients of the Torah when the Torah was still camouflaged and hidden in its garment. So that's kind of what he's explaining over here. Now, this idea that he says that what enables the worlds to receive the Torah is the revealed element of the Torah, the garment element of the Torah. He proves it to us, as it says in Tanya, as it says in Sifra Shalbeinin, which is the book of Tanya, chapter 52, but the Shechina itself, the Shekhinah, which is the divine, the worlds cannot tolerate and they can't receive it. Beloy lavush, without a garment. The worlds cannot make contact with the pure divine. Without a lavush, without a garment, hamayla mamasta, that has to obscure and hide. And what's this garment that is capable of concealing God? Here's the very important point. Containing God, be a container, but yet conceal. As he's going to say in a moment, even the revealed part of the Torah, every law of the Torah has the divine essence embedded in it. By the giving of the Torah, the opening words of the Torah is Anochi, I am. And the Talmud says that it stands for an acronym. The word Anochi, spelled Aleph Nun Chaf Yud, stands for the acronym Ani Ana Nafshi Ksavis Yahavis. I, God says, Nafshi, my soul, which means my inner identity, my inner being, Ksavis. I have written myself, I have inscribed myself. Yahavis, I have transmitted. So God infuses himself into the Torah, first into the light of the Torah, and via the light he wraps it in a garment. So the garment contains the infinite light, which contains which really contains even more than light, the essence of Hashem. But it's packaged and hidden, and we don't see it. And precisely because we don't see it, that's why we're able to receive it. As he says, so he's still quoting the Tanya. What is the garment that is able to hide the Shekhinah and to garb her? That means that the garment is an interesting thing. We're saying the worlds could not handle God himself, because if the worlds were to come into contact with God, the worlds would be burned up. They would become completely canceled in God's light. They would be overwhelmed by him. So for that, we need a garment. But whatever that garment is, the garment can't be him. Because if the garment is him, himself. So then what does it help putting himself into a garment if the garment is him? And if the garment is him, and then we have to receive the garment, then we're receiving him, and then that garment should burn us because the garment is him. So the garment, or at least can't be the revealed him. So what is the garment? The garment has to be something that's not him. But if it's not him, how can the garment receive him? Just like the worlds can't receive him. So that's the answer. The only garment that can receive him is the Torah, because the Torah is really him in a form of a garment. So the Torah is like this that's why it's a mamutza, it's a mediator. It's able to tolerate, it's able to come into direct contact with the infinity of God, because it's not of the world, it's of Hashem. At the same time, it's able to hide Hashem in itself, as he says. The that can hide the Shekhinah and enclose her, and will not become nullified by Oirah in her light. With its Tzayna Yisbarach is Hashem's will, the Chachmas in his wisdom, and particularly he wants to show us of the law of the Torah, of the revealed part of the Torah, because the esoteric part of the Torah, which is also Hashem's will and Hashem's wisdom, but that's in an abstract form, not in a garment form, not in a dense form, in a very abstract form. That's in a very godly form. And therefore, it doesn't act as a concealer. Over there, the light is shining very strongly. It's very, it's very expressed. So he says, it's the will of Hashem and his wisdom, hamelubashim, that are enclosed b'Torah, in the Torah, which is in the reading of the Torah, the concepts of the Torah, u'mitzvah and its mitzvot and its mitzvahs. That's, by the way, the wisdom and the will. The will is the mitzvahs, and the Torah is the wisdom. But he adds, the Tanya, he says, haniglois lanu. Which Torah? The revealed Torah that is revealed to us, ulabanenu, and to our children. The reason why he used this interesting term, it's revealed to us and our children, is because he's quoting a verse from the Chumash where Moshe says in Deuteronomy, in the name of God, that my Torah, that God's Torah is not in the heavens, that you should think who can take it. And then he says, Hanistaris, the hidden, he says, Hanistaris, that's the hidden is to Hashem, the Haniglois, and the revealed lanu banenu is for us and our children. So he's borrowing that term, referring to the revealed elements of the Torah, are for what? For us and our children, which means enabling us to absorb it. So what we see over here is that the garment of the Torah, which is the revealed part of the Torah, is what enables the creations to be able to receive the substance of the Shekhinah. And for that, interesting, the worlds themselves are not enough. Didn't we remember? If you remember earlier, we learned that Atzilus is also a mediator that mediates between the Ein Sof. But remember the principle of yesterday. The worlds are transmitting Hashem's influence, but only Hashem's light, not Hashem's essence. When God created the world and he creates the worlds through his light, he wants to get up and personal and deep and intimate with the world. He wants to then insert his essence into the world. That insertion comes through the Torah. So the mamutza of the worlds doesn't suffice, but the Torah does. And how does it work? There is first Hashem, the higher part of the Torah is his light. Then he wraps Oteh oir, he wraps that light into a salma, into a garment. So we really can read it two ways. Oteh oir, he wraps himself into the light. He wraps his essence into the light, into the Torah, but in the light of the Torah. And then that illumination dresses itself in a garment, which is the revealed part of the Torah. And through that, he transmits himself to the world. That is the words of the Tanya. Behind, what does that mean? That in the garment of the Torah, he emphasizes this idea. The garment also contains God's very essence. That's the whole idea of Torah. Torah is a communication, not just of the ray, but of God's essence. But the gain we get from it going through a garment is that we're able to tolerate it. If it would be given to us without a garment, we would be burnt up in a minute. The very essence of Hashem is drawn in the garment of the Torah. However, it's coming garbed or in a garment that conceals. That conceals at least so much that it's not shining and illuminating in a revealed way. However, it's not always going to remain hidden. It only remains hidden until the time that we're able to ready, when we complete the download and we're able to open it up and we're able to live and tolerate the infinite light of God, and even beyond the infinite light of God, we're able to live as one with Hashem. That's going to be in the days of Mashiach. And we have a sneak peek of that today by the revelation of the light of the Torah. In other words, the garment starts to peel away, and we start experiencing the light with the essence that's in the light. And in the future, and it's interesting that we're learning this, today's class is on Hey Av. Hey Av is the yard site of the holy Ari. And the Ari was one of the main teachers of the inner light of the Torah. He was you have almost just like a few people that are the most responsible for the transmissions of the secrets of the Torah, beginning with Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, down to the holy Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, the Arizal, whose yard site like this today, on Hey Av, then to the Baal Shem rabbis, the Magid, and all the great tzaddikim who reveal Pnimiyus Torah, primarily the Chabad Rebbeim, including the fifth Rebbe that we're learning his Torah today. I mean, in all these classes, all the way down to the Rebbe, this is the revelation of Pnimiyus Torah. Why? Because it's the beginning of Mashiach. And the time, in other words, they are the pathway of the redemption of Mashiach, which is one of the jobs of Mashiach is to open up the Torah, the inside of the Torah, to give us access to the light of the Torah without us melting. As he says over here, and in the future, the essence of the Orein Sof, you see, very important. He emphasizes not just the light will be revealed, but the essence of the Orein Sof, because Atzmus is in the Orein Sof. Al Yedei, throughout, through the inner light of the Torah. In other words, and where is that going to be? It's going to be revealed through the garment, but the garment, now the garment blocks. Because most people study Torah, they only see the outside. They see a law, they don't see its inner content, its inner godly, Kabbalistic, mystical, esoteric meaning. So when Mashiach comes, however, we're going to start seeing it's not like we're going to, God forbid, throw away the revealed part of it. It's not like a wrapper that you discard and you throw away, but it's a wrapper that becomes completely transparent. So even though it's here, but you can see through it like a clear glass. It's no more blocking. As it says in Sifra Shalbeinim, that's again Tanya, chapter 36, where he says that when Mashiach comes, the revelation of God's infinity will be in the world. And he says these words, and for this purpose, God gave the Jewish people the Torah, which is called strength, which enables us to receive our reward in the future. The reward, see, the intention of creation, the Alter Rebbe explains, is because God wanted to have a home in this world. A home means a place where you are completely revealed as you are. A home you don't have to hide. When a person steps into an environment that they're not their home, you have to be, to a certain degree, controlled, and you have to be hidden. Can't express yourself as you truly are. There's a certain requirement to adapt to the environment, to adapt to the place. In a person's own home, here I am as I am. So the essence of the person comes forth. And that's what Hashem desired when Hashem created the world, to have a home in this world. But there's an absolute problem. If God's essence would be revealed, everything is destroyed. The Alter Rebbe over there in that chapter says that in the highest worlds, forget about our world. Our world is the most limited, the most godless, if you might say, the most with the least capacity, the most the grandest of all, grandiose of all worlds, the celestial beings of the highest, most sublime worlds would completely disintegrate with the revelation of God himself. they can only receive through a tiny little light. God's light shining through a keyhole. But God himself, impossible. And yet, when Mashiach will come, down here, the physical world, God will be revealed. How is that possible? So there he explains, that's why God gave us the Torah. That's what he's explaining. Because the Torah acts as a mediator. Through the Torah, through us ingesting, downloading God via the Torah into ourselves, we're able to handle it. And the Torah plants in the person who learns it and in the limbs that perform it an endurance ability to be able to endure the infinite and not collapse. That's why the Torah is called strength. It strengthens us to be able to receive the reward. What's the reward? The revelation of Hashem. To receive our reward in the future, without any garment. And the Alter Rebbe continues and he says, we had a little bit of that happening already in the past by the giving of the Torah. By the giving of the Torah, we had already a revelation. Since the Torah is meant to bring God into the world, but Torah does it through a garment. So when we study Torah, we don't realize how godly we are becoming when we are studying Torah. We don't realize, we have no clue how infinite we are, that we are ingesting infinity, and therefore we are becoming infinite, if you might say. We are merging with the infinite through Torah and mitzvahs, because we don't feel it. But by the giving of the Torah, God flashed his light for a moment. In other words, in order for them to appreciate what they were getting, he gave them a little taste of the Torah without the garment. He transmitted the Torah in a way just at the time of the 10 Commandments that they were able to see its infinite light. And guess what? It did exactly what we are worried that it should do. Why are we worried for God's infinite light coming into the world? It will cause everything to melt into his light. Well, that's exactly what happened. Every time God spoke, we melted and we died. We died into him. We passed out into him. As he says, and then God had to restore us. How did he restore us? Through the dew of the Torah, which really means he used the Torah to restore us. What does that mean? He restored us. He didn't restore us when the light was gone. Simply, he'll say, it was an incredible revelation. They all died. And then once the revelation passed, we were able to come back to ourselves. He was able to put our soul back in the body. We were able to survive. That's the simple way. And how did he do it? How did he make us? How did he bring us back to life? He gave us the dew of the Torah, which is, that's how God will resurrect the dead in the future. But that's not what it really means. He gave us the dew of the Torah to restore us. To restore us, meaning to be able to have us exist, although the revelation is still here. He brought us back to life because he wanted to show us he gave us a demo. Number one, you should know that you are experiencing, when you're studying Torah, you're experiencing God's infinity. Therefore, it's so powerful. You have to know its power. You will all die now, so you'll know how powerful it is. Then I'm going to show you even a deeper, cooler element of the Torah, that it's able to resurrect you and keep you alive while you have the Torah. That's even greater. As he says, all the revelations that are going to be in the future, everything happened. It was the messianic revelation. It all was there by the giving of the Torah, but that was his galus lefisha. It was a temporary revelation. And because it was such a powerful revelation, that's why every time God spoke, their souls fled. Their souls flew away. And Hashem returned it betal tchio, with the dew of resurrection. Shehu tal Torah, which the Alter Rebbe emphasizes, is not some magical dew that God brings out and he resurrects dead people. It's the dew, the sages say it's the dew of the Torah itself. Because the Torah itself, it's meant to acclimate us to the infinite and to enable us to withstand the infinite. So Shehu tal Torah shenikra oiz, which means strength. Now when Mashiach will come, I think we won't have to go through these two phases of first dying and then being resurrected. And then it was because we haven't yet digested the Torah in our bodies. It was just given to us, and it was given to us immediately with its powerful light. Hashem gave it to us in a manner where we sensed its infinite light immediately. But now that we're studying it year after year, week after week, month after month, we learn it again and again, and we absorb it and take it in. We have now fortified ourselves to be able to withstand it and not be destroyed. Now we understand, he explains the verse. Hashem wraps himself in light like a garment. These are the two levels of the mediator of the Torah, which enables the connection of the infinite with the worlds. And now he answers the question that he asked at the beginning of the discourse. How is the verse Oteh Erka Salma connected to the end of the verse? The Note Shemaim, he spreads the heavens like a curtain. Now we understand. Spreading the heavens like a curtain is actually meaning creating. God creates the heavens, then he creates the earth. But in order for God to create the heaven, he needs to interact. His energy needs to interact with the creation. He has to produce it. And we say that the creations don't have a direct connection to Hashem. It's all via the Torah. And that's why we say like this. It's speaking of the process of creation. First, Oteh Erka Salma. First, Hashem wraps himself in light, which is the higher part of the Torah. Then he garbs that in Kasalma into the garment of the Torah. That's the revealed part of the Torah. And then via these two parts of the Torah, he now goes ahead and he creates the worlds. He spreads out the heavens and then he makes the earth and so on and so forth. In order for there to be the spreading out the heaven like a curtain, the world should come into being. It's through Oteh Erka Salma, through Hashem spreading wrapping himself in light, kasalma, like a garment. These are the two levels of the Torah. Kitzer. And now we do a summary. Okay? So now he's going to summarize the entire second. Sorry, the chapter. This is not the second Maamor. Summarizes chapter 8. Well, in order to be able to reconcile the question. The question that we had is Atzilus something new, or Atzilus is just a revelation of what was. Yagdem, he first preface Atzilus ub'bchinas mamutza, that Atzilus is a mamutza, a mediator between Ein Sof, between the infinite one, the Olamai Son of Ram, to the worlds of creation. Beis hamadregesh mamutza, and the two levels of the mamutza of every mutza has to have both levels. It has to represent both sides. And b'chinas ha'oros v'hakelim, that's the lights and the vessels. Sha'kelim, the vessels, and b'chinas ha'gvul, that's the limitations of Atzilus, of the Sfirot, v'ametzius shebatzilus, and that's what we can say is the thinginess of Atzilus. That Atzilus has a substance, it's something, it's kindness, it's intelligence, or whatever it is. The oiros and the lights are and beli metzius, are without existence, and therefore, as he said earlier, they're infinite. They can't be defined by anything. Kisharshan, and then we spoke about where they come from, because the lights really originate, they derived mahakav, from the thread that originates in the Orein Sof, in the infinite light that's before the contraction. Even though we explained that it's drawn into the world through the tzimtzum. The main tzimtzum is for the coming about of the vessels, like we learned in many classes ago, in a couple of classes ago. And what was the main effect of the tzimtzum is to produce the vessels. The tzimtzum enables us to notice the reshimu, Hashem's power to limit himself within God's limitless ability, as we discussed earlier. Which that's the essence of space, and the space is the root of the vessels. And that's the root of the kelim. But on the other hand, even the vessels also interact with the light in order for them to come into existence. So, in a sense, the lights are impacted minimally by the tzimtzum, and the vessels are impacted also minimally by the light. The main element of the vessels, however, the primary source of the vessels is the tzimtzum, the contraction, and the primary source of the lights is the kav and the Orein Sof. And the kav comes from the Orein Sof That's before the tzimtzum. And that's the root of the lights. The Torah is also a mediator. And that will be explained later in the other next mimer. With this, we'll understand the verse. He wraps himself in light like a garment. These are the two levels. The Torah of the mediating Torah, how it has light and garment, the esoteric and extrateric elements of the Torah. And with this chulu, we make chazak, v'nis chazek. We finished the second mimer. Wow. Let Mashiach come in this merit.